Good afternoon, Pastor Matthew, Hollywood United Methodist Church. Although today I am bringing you our daily reading from what used to be known as Solomon's United Methodist Church. It's currently known as Solomon's Mission Center. I'm on the board of directors over here, and I come over here to work with another organization called Feed the People. Every Tuesday, we make spaghetti. It is a no questions asked. You need food. You come here, you get it. And that's true for our food pantry hours as well as for our spaghetti dinners on Tuesday. That's what's going on right now, but we are reading Luke chapter 6. This is our jaunt, our annual journey through the gospel according to St. Luke. And as always, just see what jumps out at you. Just see what words, what parts of the story. And it might even be something that you've heard a million times, but for some reason today, I don't know, it just hits different, it just feels different. Maybe not so much up here, but down here. And so let's go ahead and read Luke chapter 6. Luke writes, "One Sabbath, while Jesus was going through some grain fields, his disciples plucked some heads of grain, rubbed them in their hands, and ate them. But some of the Pharisees said, 'Why are you doing this, what is not lawful on the Sabbath?' Jesus answered, 'Have you not read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? How he entered the house of God and took and ate the bread of the presence, which it is not lawful for any but the priests to eat, and gave some to his companions? Then he said, 'The Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath.' On another Sabbath, he entered the synagogue and taught, and there was a man there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and the Pharisees were watching him to see whether he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might find grounds to bring an accusation against him. But he knew what they were thinking. And he said to the man who had the withered hand, 'Come and stand in the middle.' The man got up and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, 'I ask you, is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or destroy it?' After looking around at all of them, he said to the man, 'Stretch out your hand.' The man did so, and his hand was restored. But they were filled with fury and began discussing with one another what they might do to Jesus. Now during those days, Jesus went out to the mountain to pray, and he spent the night in prayer to God. And when day came, he called his disciples and chose 12 of them, whom he named apostles: Simon, whom he named Peter, and his brother Andrew, and James and John and Philip and Bartholomew and Matthew and Thomas, and James, son of Alphaeus, and Simon, who was called the Zealot, and Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. He came down with them and stood on a level place with a great crowd of his disciples and a great multitude of people from all Judea, Jerusalem, and the coast of Tyre and Sidon. They had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. And those who were troubled with unclean spirits were cured. And everyone in the crowd was trying to touch him, for power came out from him and healed all of them. Then Jesus looked up at his disciples and said, 'Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be filled. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, revile you, and defame you on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice on that day and leap for joy, for surely your reward is great in heaven. For that is how their ancestors treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you who are full now, for you will be hungry. Woe to you who are laughing now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when all speak well of you, for that is how their ancestors treated the false prophets. But I say to you who are listening, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who asks of you. And if anyone takes away what is yours, do not ask for it back again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. Because if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those to whom you expect to receive payment, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much again. Instead, love your enemies, do good, and lend expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. He also told them a parable. Can a blind person guide a blind person? Will not both fall into a pit? A disciple is not above the teacher, but every disciple who is fully qualified will be like the teacher. Why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take out the speck in your eye, when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. No good tree bears bad fruit, nor again does a bad tree bear good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For people do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they pick grapes from a bramble bush. The good person out of the good treasure of the heart produces good, and the evil person out of the evil treasure produces evil. For it is out of the abundance of the heart that the mouth speaks. And why do you call me Lord, Lord, and not do what I tell you? I will show you what someone is like who comes to me, hears my words, and acts on them. That man is like a man building a house who dug deeply and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood arose and river burst against the house, but could not shake it because it had been well built. But the one who hears and does not act, is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. When the river burst against it, it quickly collapsed, and great was the ruin of that house. This is the word of God for us and for many, the people of God. Thanks be to God. So we get this, in Luke we call it the Sermon on the Plain because it says he went down to a level place. And it really is a lot of the best hits of what Jesus is all about. And they're probably things that we think of a lot, like the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. Love everyone. But love everyone, that's a fair thing to say, but that's not actually what Jesus says. He says love your enemies. Now you may be thinking, Pastor, wait a minute, are you telling me I don't have to love my friends? That's not what I'm saying. I'm more saying that sometimes we need to be specific. Sometimes we need that sort of specificity to say, because love all is such a big, all-encompassing word that we inevitably want to put an asterisk next to it. We want to put except such and such. And we end up saying except such and such as our enemies. And so instead, Jesus calls us to love our enemies because that's what we need to be taught. That's what we need to be reminded of. To pray for those who persecute you. To wish well to those who do not wish you well. That doesn't really work in our system. That's not something we're used to. That is something that we have to be brought into and trained into. And so there's a lot of these things where we hear them and we're like, yeah, but Jesus didn't really mean what he said. That's an interesting thing with Jesus sometimes, is it feels like often in the church we decide when Jesus meant what he said and when we think he was speaking figuratively, or when we think he was not meaning, not really love your enemies. No. Don't really give and not expect it back. No. It's an interesting thing, and there's something that I think that we should think about sometimes about when we read something that Jesus says, and our first thought is to try to find a loophole, to try to find an exception. I think that should be something that we have to think on even more. That should be something that we have to meditate on even more and pray for more help with. And one of the other things that I love about this past Sunday, I preached on John the Baptist coming and talking about the winnowing fork is in his hand, separating the wheat from the chaff, and the chaff will be burned. And it has to do with this question of, are there some people who are inherently evil? And my general thought was, no, all of us have chaff, which is the bad stuff, in us. And God is how we are purified. It is how we get perfected so that we are just the good wheat. And what I thought that was so interesting here is when Jesus chooses the 12, they're not all perfect. In fact, none of them are perfect. They've all got their, growing edges, as we sometimes call it. But what's interesting is the end. We get the two Judases, Judas, son of James, and then, of course, Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor, which is to say, it's not that there was something inherently traitor-like of Judas. It was not something that he was destined necessarily to do in Luke's telling. It was something that he became. It was something that he put on. Something changed in him that made him a traitor. And why I think that's so important is that it opens up to our own examination of ourselves. And if we realize that Judas wasn't a traitor at the beginning, that he only became one, then even in those moments when we feel the most faithful, even those moments where we are like Peter, who say, no, I would never, we know that within us, there's still that part of us, or that maybe not within us now, but the way that sin works is it is like a wolf lurking at the door, and it's always around the corner. So that's a good way, just that's how, if you have that sort of, if you have that sort of thought, then you'll be more likely to see the log in your own eye before dealing with the speck in your neighbor's. So that's what I think about. If you have anything in the comments here, this is on Facebook. It'll be uploaded to YouTube momentarily. Leave it here and come back tomorrow for Luke chapter 7. Stay safe out there, y'all. I'll see you tomorrow.